The Herd starts right now.
No mercy, and I won't back down. Undisputed.
Here we go. Patriot Rams Super Bowl on a Monday. This is The Herd. Wherever you may be and however you may be listening, we are live in sunny now again Los Angeles on iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, and right here on FS1. Joy Taylor is joining me. Colin right, Colin wrong, 1 hour from now. I am not overly religious, but I will say somebody upstairs is taking care of me. Patriots, Rams, the local team. When I was in Connecticut for 10 years, I watched every snap. The local team in Los Angeles, I watched.
You're the one who's responsible for this.
Wow.
I see.
I'm not going to lie. This is an amazing Monday. Thank you so much for stopping by. We are packed today. Trent Dilfer, Josh Norman, Michael Vick, Eric Dickerson. Let me start with this. Football is complicated in its design. But when a game unfolds, it's rather simple. You prepare for 7 days. If you get a bye, 14. And it's about imposing your will. I'm going to plan for 7 days to do things and impose my will on you. And if I plan to do things and I can do more things than you can do, also preparing to impose your will, I win. It usually, in a close football game, I could do some things, you could do some things, I couldn't do some things, you couldn't do some things. So let's, in review, look at Kansas City. Here's what Kansas City likes to do and prepared to do. We're going to get the ball to Tyreek Hill, fastest guy in the league. He had one catch. One catch. We're going to get the ball to the best tight end in football, Travis Kelce. He had 23 total yards. We are going to pressure Tom Brady. We led the NFL in sacks. D. Ford, Chris Jones, Justin Houston. They almost didn't even pressure Tom. There were no sacks. We're going to get the ball to Patrick Mahomes. The key to this game is keep the ball in his hand and away from Brady. Oh, he had the ball for 8 minutes in the first half. Oh, by the way, no mental errors. No mental errors. No, Kansas City had the biggest mental error of the NFL season. D. Ford lined up offsides. Does it sound like to you that Kansas City was able to do what they planned for a week? Hell, folks, they couldn't do anything they planned to do. Tyreek Hill, one catch. Travis Kelce, 23 yards. D. Ford, Chris Jones, Houston, no pressures. The mental error. Mahomes never had the ball for the first 2 hours. So now let's look at what New England prepared to do all week, what New England wanted to do. New England said a week ago, we want to get the ball to Edelman. He had 7 catches for almost 100 yards. We want to make sure Gronk plays a role. 6 catches, biggest play of the game, arguably. We want to run the ball against Kansas City, take it away from Mahomes. He had over 100 yards. We want to be great on third down to keep it away from Mahomes. 13 for 19. We want to protect Tom Brady. He was rarely touched. And we want to make sure it's a ball control time of possession game. It was the most lopsided in league history. Everything Kansas City prepared to do, they could do none of it. And everything New England planned to do, they did virtually all of it. The only surprising thing is this game went to overtime. Look at the box score. If I handed you a box score in Kansas City this morning and said, before the game, New England will have 36 first downs, you'll have 18. They'll have 525 yards, you'll have less than 300. They'll have the ball for 44 minutes, you'll have it for 20. That's the most lopsided overtime game of my life. Folks, football is complicated in its design. I could give you a playbook and you couldn't figure out a play in it. But how a game unfolds is always very simple. I prepare to do several things. So do you. It's usually split right down the middle in an overtime game. This was never close. Last week I said something on Friday, and I got a lot of pushback on this. I said the Bills, the Jets, and the Dolphins aren't dysfunctional. If you take away their games against the Patriots for 18 years, They're 500 teams. New England simply makes them twice a year look dysfunctional. Let me ask you, what did the Chargers look like last week against New England? New England with an extra week to prepare? Dysfunctional. What did the Chiefs look like when the Patriots got a second shot this year at them? Offensively dysfunctional. That's what great teams do, and it's what the Patriots do better than anybody in league history. Try being the Jets, Bills, and Dolphins, Kansas City, and facing them 2 times a year for 18 years. They take stuff away. Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes. They take stuff away. Chargers look unprepared. Kansas City looked like offensively they didn't practice. The entire NFL has gone to the vertical passing game, mobile quarterbacks and star receivers. New England has never, ever run the ball more. In fact, their wide receivers become backs. Their backs become wide receivers. Let's just be honest. They're sharper, smarter, and cagier than your team. Perfect? No. Brady had a bad red zone pick. Nobody's perfect. The NFL's too fast. There's too many good athletes. But they continue to be one step ahead of the league. Ask yourself, would you rather be great in September or now? And I want everybody to just think about this. What is the day that you thought this year New England was the best team in the AFC? This year started in 2018. What was the day? The day is today. Mid to late January 2019. Let me add this about New England because, this is the way the world works. When you lose, you got to blame somebody. The pass play to Gronkowski, which gave the Patriots a first down at the Chiefs' 15 in overtime, was not in the game plan. Peter King reported this morning the Patriots put in 8 new plays in the hotel lobby before the game. Unheard of. 8 new plays. They used 5. All 5 worked. That is unheard of. In the Westin Crown Center in Kansas City, the offensive players for the Patriots were greeted at 11 in the morning. 8 new plays. That is unheard of in any game. They used 5. They all worked. Blame who you want. They're sharper, craftier, smarter than everybody else. Let's shift to the Rams' exciting win in overtime 2 over the Saints. This morning, I see a lot of blame, and that is America, right? When you're not successful, blame your ex-wife, blame your kids, blame the president, blame your boss. This became the blame the refs game. New Orleans had 50 yards rushing at home. That's it. They settled for 2 field goals early when the Rams, after 2 possessions, had more turnovers won than first downs. The Saints averaged 4.5 yards a play, easily the lowest and weakest of the final 4 teams. Todd Gurley got benched, the best offensive player for the Rams, and Sean Payton inexplicably passed the ball instead of running it late to eat the clock. I still don't know what he was thinking. But hey, it's the refs. Yes, it's the refs. You do realize why I picked the Rams. Drew Brees in his first 11 games had 29 touchdowns and 2 picks and a passer rating of 127. But Drew Brees' last 6 games, he's had 7 touchdowns, 5 picks, and a passer rating of 88. The Saints, during and after the Cowboy games, were never the same offense. They've been dink and dunk since. Fans demand perfect officiating, but Sean Payton got out-coached late, and Drew Brees, and it's true, got outplayed by Jared Goff late. But, Colin, what about that penalty? Well, I'm so glad you brought that up. Let's actually run tape and sound of that egregious penalty.
Fake it to Anderson. Out to the left. Goff. Gonna dive.
I don't think that running the ball was what he wanted to do. There's a face mask. Once he got outside the pocket here, he could have just gone after it.
Oh, you didn't mean that one. Because that one actually took points off the board. That would have been a 1st and goal for the Rams at the 1. And the refs whiffed it. But, Colin, you could barely see that. Since when in pro football do you get bonus points for an egregious whiff? A whiff is a whiff. That was a whiffed call. And that took 4 points away from the Rams, who settled for a field goal. They would have had a first and goal at the 1. But it's called recency bias. That's what psychologists call it. It's always the last blown call, the most recent, that is outrageous and cost us the game. So let's talk about this blown call, which got everybody worked up.
Quick snap. Breeze. Pass is incomplete. No flag for Tommy Lee Lewis. Nickel Roby-Coleman delivered a hit, and the two officials talk to each other. Crowd's going crazy as there's no flag right on the Saints sideline.
That should have been a penalty. And Sean Payton is justifiably upset.
Yes, he should be. That was a blown call, too, and the one America's freaking out about. But the Rams, previous to that, would have taken a 24-20 lead. Instead, they settled for a tie, which probably actually changes this drive. Again, in psychology, it's called recency bias. That last blown call, that's what lost it for us. Wasn't the fact that the Saints peaked in November, that Breeze was outplayed, and he was by Jared Goff, that Sean Payton, in one of the strangest moves ever, even questioned by Buck and Aikman, passed the ball on first down. Sean, at that point in the game, you're not facing the Rams. You're facing the clock. Sean Payton was outcoached. Drew Brees was outplayed. By the way, it should be noted after that egregious call, and for some reason fans think egregious calls matter more than just previously whiffed calls, you had the ball and threw a pick and got it first in overtime and couldn't score. You had multiple opportunities in that game, but you go ahead, you blame the refs on that final call. But those settling for field goals early, 50 yards rushing, outplayed, outcoached late, the better team won. The Rams traveled 3,000 miles, couldn't hear themselves think for the first hour, were completely discombobulated. But as we said Friday, over time, the team peaking now and not in November, not against the Cowboys, would win this football game. For the record, coming up next, the overtime rule, and how cool was that? Both games went into overtime, has got people worked up. And I've got some thoughts on that coming up. Using TrueCar gives you an advantage when you go to a TrueCar certified dealer. Because the reality is they have the knowledge, right, car dealers? And they have the power, leverage, and the information. TrueCar gives you equal footing. Go to TrueCar.com and check out the true price. It'll tell you what fees will be. It'll tell you what accessories will be. So you walk into the dealership knowing, okay, I know what they know. Who doesn't want an upfront discounted price that includes everything from fees to incentives and accessories? There are over 3 million cars have been sold to TrueCar users through the TrueCar Certified Dealer Network. And there's 15,000 of those in the country. And you can save $3,000 on average off MSRP. Doesn't matter if you want to buy a new car or a used car. Go to TrueCar and enjoy a more confident car buying experience.